What's up guys, this is Scher talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'll be doing a preview for the second Romancing Saga 2 banner that just got announced. This time called Romancing Festival Victor. We have 5 different styles, so no chance of off banner. Let's go straight out to Reddit and we can compare all the differences between Global and JP because of Hands43 doing its amazing job. So, Victor got a buff to his endurance and will. Those are needed because he's a debuffer and needs to survive, but just 92% intelligence is not that great. But he can fix that because on turn begins he buffs all of his status by 15%, so if you can buff in that fight, he will reach enough intelligence. When he uses skill number 1 or skill number 2, he will activate Flowing Slash Plus. That on rank 1 will debuff STR by 15% if you have enough intelligence. And then he also has a 50% chance to chase with Dark Flowing Slash Plus. This is a skill that guarantees the STR debuff. It debuffs 25%. It's also much stronger than Flowing Slash, that is A power. This one is triple S power. He will also grant himself, when attacking with either Flowing Slash or Dark Flowing Slash, a heat up specific for these types of skills that will increase the damage of just these skills. The damage increase will be 30% for each of these skills, and if you're using Flowing Slash, it will also increase the power of Dark Flowing Slash. And if you get the Dark Flowing Slash Chase, it will still buff the damage of Flowing Slash as well. This can trigger 15 times per battle. So you get at least one guaranteed chase, and the other one is a chance, meaning that if you are using those skills constantly, it will take at least 10 turns to reach max potential to increase 450% of the damage of those two attacks. Interesting, but we saw that before with Z-Link and it was never impactful. You will also recover 2 BP. And then you have a 20% damage increase at all times. Damage taken is decreased by 25%. Starts the fight with 12 BP. Then it has another damage reduction by 30% and damage increases by 40%. So here we have just 2 damage increase passives, reaching 60% status buff, and he will only get stronger via use of Flowing Slash and Dark Flowing Slash. Now, skill number 1, it's one of the skills that will activate Flowing Slash Plus. It's a free skill with D power slash damage that has a chance to debuff the enemy's STR by 15%. So, you will still get the Flowing Slash Plus, meaning that you can debuff 30%. And if you get the extra chase, you can debuff as much as 55%. The second skill is the one that can only be used one time per battle. It's fast, it will also trigger the chase, and grants himself Eyes of Insight. When you are attacked, you will be evading one time, and then gets defense up that decreases damage taken by 15% for the whole fight. So that's okay, it's a nice skill that you can get. Nothing game changing as well. And then you have to keep using skill 1 or use skill 3, because skill 3 uses Flowing Slash and then Dark Flowing Slash, but you lose the chases. It's just to guarantee that you will get the Dark Flowing Slash. And in this case, you will be debuffing higher because the skill can be leveled up to 99, and that's 20% plus 30%, 50% debuff. While you can get up to 55 if you are using skill 1 and chasing. Nice when you need to debuff just STR. And I still believe that he is inferior to James, because James can choose to just debuff intelligence and hybrid of STR and intelligence, or just fully focus on STR and still get a little bit of intelligence. So it's interesting for very specific situations, but there are way too many competition for STR debuff in the game already, although he is a good one, I could say. If you already have Paulos, or if you get James from the other banner, this guy, it's totally skippable. And I don't think it's too good. I will give Victor just a 3 out of 5. The next one will be Cat, and she was buffed for more agility, more intelligence and will. Her endurance is still kinda low, but it doesn't matter as much as you think. Her STR is 102%, could have been higher since she can still do damage. But this character here has a lot of effects running, like she starts a fight with 12 BP, she has a stealth that has medium effect, lasts for 4 turns. She keeps decreasing the chance of being attacked by single target attacks. She grants herself a damage block for 1 time 1 turn, meaning that the first hit never deals damage. Then she has fake move. When being attacked, she will grant herself hidden, meaning that evade attacks towards self with a 50%. So she already blocks the first hit. She then has a 50% chance to evade if everyone is alive. It says 1 turn, 1 time, because you can only evade 1 time. Then turn ends if no damage was taken, and that turn, she grants Thief's health. On the next turn, after attacking, she will then buff all of her self status by 15%, and then apply an attack and defense boost that decreases damage taken by 35% for 2 turns, and this can stack for all allies. So you want to use Cat to evade or block damage and then trigger this attack and defense boost to decrease damage taken, also improve damage for the squad, or she keeps getting stronger. She got a new passive where she gets 30% damage increase, and when attacking she triggers Cat's Claw that recovers BP, and she also has a 50% chance to chase with skill number 2, that is a skill that can debuff STR, agility, and intelligence by 10%, and a 25% chance to chase with skill number 3, that attacks 2 times randomly, and has a 50% chance to give herself an evasion for 1 time 1 turn. So even more layers of evasion with this character. She don't want to get hit, and even if she gets hit, she tries to block or evade. But 25% chance is kind of hard to get. It means that if you want to use Cat, she may need some restarts, but she eventually works super well. Then she has another 20% damage increase, and turn begins she gets a defense up that can trigger 5 times per battle. But as you can see, she has no damage reduction on start. She relies on the defense up in order to decrease damage taken, but she will have block and evasions. Now, you can use skill number 1 that can recover between 2 to 8. It's usually 4 or 6, and the skill can actually generate more than you are spending most of the time, but she's also better to be used with characters that can give her more BP to keep using skill number 3 as much as possible. But she can also be a debuffer if you want to, by use of skill number 2, and with this skill here as command, you can reach as much as 15% debuff. As she is an interesting character that can choose 2 different roles, I believe that she would deserve a 4 out of 5. I heard good things about her on JP, but it's not a type of character that I will be using much because it relies too much on RNG, and the game already has way too much RNG. Moving on, we have Actor running buffed his STR to reach 135. That's the highest one, I guess, in the game right now. Alongside just a little less than Kihachi, they buffed her to 140%. That's right. And then Endurance is 101, Will is 101, very low agility. So it's a very slow character. But it doesn't matter because he gets to overdrive, so he does not need speed. He has a 50% increase to overdrive attacks. Then turn begins, grants himself an attack boost. And then turn ends, gets 35 points of overdrive gauge. And the thing is, he wants to keep using this passive. He can trigger it 2 more times via the skill number 2. It's a 3BP skill that can be used 2 times per battle and will grant him another stack of this skill, another defense up, decreasing damage taken by 10%, and a damage block for 1 time 1 turn. So turn 1 and turn 2 you use this skill, and then on turn 3 you'll be on overdrive, and every turn after that you'll still be on overdrive. Battle begins starts with 12 BP. When attack lands, recovers HP and 2 BP. Will also be buffing STR Endurance and Will by 15%, and an attack and defense boost to all allies when attacking on overdrive. So from turn 3 onwards, he will be giving at least a 35% damage reduction to the party. And then when he's attacking on overdrive, he activates Violent Dive. This is a skill that hits between 3 to 4 times with slash and blunt damage. So damage can be nice, but I think that he needed an extra chase besides the overdrive guarantee 1. But since he's giving attack and defense boost to everyone on overdrive, that's okay. He then gets 20% damage increase at all times, then 40% increase on combo, and then 40% increase on overdrive as well, for a total of 100% when attacking on overdrive, and damage taking is decreased by 30%. So, what we have here is at least 100% from passive 3, and actually I was mistaken, this is 40%, reaching 140, and then another 25 to reach 165, and he is attacking. He'll grant another attack boost, but he does not benefit, I guess, from this. Oh, he does. So, as much as 190% damage increase. It's not that great, but he does have a skill number 3 that is a triple S power attack that grants himself morale up, that increases damage by 40% just to himself, and also a guard up that decreases damage taken by 50%, both for 2 turns, so that he can keep using this. You can also inherit Vandalize Plus from his school style. That's a strong attack that you can switch between those two if you have enough BP. So, well, the character is okay to use. If you can keep up with that defense boost, he helps. His damage is very far when compared to Kihachi for Slash, and even other characters like Apollo, and many others that will come. So I don't know if that 35% damage reduction is enough to guarantee his spot, but he just works if you are a fan of the character. I believe he deserves a 3.5 out of 5 because of having 2 damage blocks every turn, alongside very good defenses, and still helping the party a little, but it's just very easy to skip as well. The next one will be Emeral, and she's a mage with heat attacks. She has 80% endurance. Got buffed for agility, intelligence, and will. Very good values if you consider that she can tank pretty well for magical attacks. Now, battle begins. She will then be giving this heat defense boost small to our allies. When they attack with heat attacks, they will trigger a defense boost that decreases damage taken by 15%. So if you have a full fire squad, and if you also pull it for Firebringer, you can get a lot of different utility from this character. But Elise herself works as well for all of her skills. She just needed a change. Turn begins, she grants also this Elemental Enhance that increases heat damage by 30%, can trigger 3 times per battle, and also a Spell Enhance. Elemental Sorcery will buff damage by 20%. That works for everyone, so 90% from one, and I believe 60% for the another. I'll be checking this to see if it's right on my full review. So 150% damage increase if you are using other heat damage dealers. Spell Enhance, I believe, only works for spellcasters though. There is at least this problem. It's hard to find more mages that are up to the meta. Then on heat attack, damage increases by 20%, recovers 2 BP as well. And when being attacked and resisting, she decreases damage taken by 25%, but she always decreases by 30% too, and has a 40% damage increase. So this character has a mix of offense and defense if you are running fire squads. Skill number 1 is a fast that before attacking she grants this elemental attack blessings for heat that people will recover HP when they attack for 2 turns, and then she attacks. So it's a cheap way to allow people to self-heal, including herself. The good thing is that it doesn't have just a limit to trigger, like if you are using Apollo with your party, for example, Apollo will attack multiple times and trigger this multiple times. Skill number 2 is AoE, can only be used once per battle, and before attacking grants the target weakness to heat defense down, and then attack. So it's useful for increasing damage potential of someone else's, but herself as well. Then skill number 3 is also fast, attacks randomly between 2 to 4 times, grants a heat attack boost that will increase their heat damage potential for all allies, and then attack. So it's random between 2 to 4 times. Damage may not be so high unless you already have everything stacked, but it's 10 BP. It will not be so hard to reach if you have a BP battery. But she herself only has 5 BP per turn, so that's kind of hard to keep up. I think Emeral is a little too hard to use. She's a combination of the past version of Pyrex alongside Ruby, but if you got Firebringer, you may have a reason to pull for her, but even then it's too hard to build full elemental squads because you need to have everyone in the squad that can perform the role that you want with the right element. Like you need a debuffer, like Asper, okay. You need a damage dealer, maybe if you have Apollo, then you need a defense booster, okay, Emeral can be one. And the BP battery can come from Firebringer, but he's not exactly that good, it's just BP battery, but then you can maybe bring Sheree or Hardy. See, that's how you build squads, but then you get a little more limited when replacing old units with new ones. Hence why it's hard to recommend pulling for her, even though she is a good style nonetheless. So I believe she deserves a 3.5 out of 5. It's better because she does have support, but her support is also limited. And then the last one is Coppelia. She got buffed for agility and STR, as you can see, reaching 133. Agility is a very nice value. She has just okay values for a tank, in endurance being 101% and will being 90. Turn begins, she gets this attack boost that is super extreme. I should check this out, but it should be 60% damage increase, and then defense boost that will decrease damage taken by 30%. She will also recover 1 BP, that's new. Then on multiply of 3 turns, she will then grant herself this attack boost that increases damage potential by 50% if I'm not mistaken. It lasts for 2 turns, and also a morally up that increases damage potential by 40%, lasts for 2 turns. This one does not stack though. And will recover 2 BP. On multiply of 3 turns, she will lose 1 LP. This is a character that starts with 99 LP, but she will actually sacrifice a lot of LP. I'll be discussing this in a few. But overall, she has this super extreme effect. That will be 60% increase at least. And alongside that extra 50% for a 110 on some turns. Some turns, that is on turn 3 and 4. Then again on turn 6 and 7. Always skipping 1 turn. The morale up is also nice, so that you can get increased damage as well, but it does not stack with other sources of morale up. Then on turn begins, she taunts medium effect for turns so that it stacks, and when being attacked, she buffs STR endurance and will by 20%. Strength that she does not buff agility, since Emart's skills also uses agility. She also recovers 1 BP, and when she reaches 0 HP, she will revive with 50%. It's nice that she gets BP when being attacked, because she will be attacked since she's taunting, and she wants BP for costly skills. She has then another 20% damage increase. Damage taken is decreased by 30%, and by the end of turn, she clears all ailments. First skill is an AoE deep power attack that you will not be using most of the time, but the second one is a 10 BP skill that has double S power, and then after attacking, she enters a defensive counter stance. That means that she takes damage but reduces and counters with punishing palm plus. That is AoE B power attack with just blunt damage. It's not that strong, but it's AoE for situations where AoE can help. And you can use this 2 times in a row to get 2 counters. You will be doing damage and then counter 2 times when the enemy attacks you directly. It's not bad, but it's also weak if you are just using it versus one enemy. Then the third skill is a 10 BP 45 LP cost skill that attacks randomly 4 times with C power and will grant a hit up medium that increases damage potential by 10% with each hit for a total of 40% increase for the whole fight. Also a defense up of 5% damage reduction on each hit for a total of 4 stacks. You can use this skill 2 times. It is recommended to use so that she has extra damage and extra defenses, but then she will totally die by turn 27 because of losing LP every 3 turns. I don't think there's much of a reason for this design because the damage is not that great. She needed to have at least 1 single target and 1 AoE cycle in order to, well, justify this thing, because, well, for blunt, there's just a lot of options right now. And even if you are thinking about counter, well, to move forward with the new strategies, we needed extra utility, either to the party or bigger damage. Sadly, this is not what we have here with this Coppelia. I don't think she's very useful, and I will give her a 3 out of 5, but it's still a counter character that can work for the newer Remembrist versus the Megalith Dragon. But there are other options that work, since this character is not really recommended for normal hard challenges. Well, I believe she deserves a 3 out of 5 only, and this banner here is not really that great. The good thing is that we have 5 different styles and no off-banner units. So I would give it a silver minus award just because of that. If it was just 3 units, this would be a bronze award because these characters, even if they work here and there, they are niche, they have problems, and they don't move the strategies forward. While I believe that the first banner here that has Leon and also has Therese is much better. Even Bear is better than most of the characters of the second banner. So if you have gens, pull for Leon, get Leon and maybe some of the other ones. But I don't recommend pulling for the second banner. No at all. But I'll be making the full reviews later. I just want to thank you all for watching this video. If you want to support the channel, there are links in the description. I hope to see you soon in the next one. Goodbye.